We are live.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Vanelli. Now, our topic today is how to use Luminar as a Photoshop plugin, and in doing so, Photoshop is going to make Luminar a smart filter. All right, so I'm going to show you how we're going to do that inside Photoshop and how we can make it towards non-destructive, meaning that we can always go back in and make further changes. Now, before we begin, let's take a moment and thank our partners. Fujifilm. Make images, share stories, and experience moments at the speed of life with Fujifilm. Thank you for staying at home with us. And we're back. Welcome to all of our friends from around the world. Thank you so much for joining in. Now, let's dive right in. Let me show you the image we're going to be dealing with right here. All right, so here we are with this image, and I love the shot overall, except I wish I had her wearing either fake eyelashes or something with her eyelashes. So this is what we're going to do with it. We're going to add fake eyelashes to this. Now I'm going to show you how I'm going to do it in Photoshop. Once we're done, then we're going to jump right over into Luminar to get creative with this technique. All right, so let's begin. Now, I'm going to hide that layer for now. And what I want to do is create a blank layer up on top. Now, what I did, and I'll make sure I put this in the description below. I'm sorry. There we go. I'll put this in the description below. I downloaded these eyelash brushes many years ago, and I had to look up where I downloaded them from. I would give them to you, but they're not mine. It's like a $3 donation if you want to use them. All right, so I'm going to look over here at the eyelashes. Excuse me. And let's see, I believe it was this one here. Yep. Okay, let's see, one up. There we go, it's this one right here. All right, so I'm going to zoom right in. And now I'm going to use the left and right bracket keys to get the brush close to the size of her eyelashes now. And then we'll stretch them in a moment. So I'll get it right about here. I'm going to make sure I'm painting on black. And I'm on my own layer. So I'm on a different layer right here. So it's not going to destroy the original image. So there's the eyelash. Control T or Command T to bring up the transform. And first, I'm going to right click and select free transform. And I just want to get it closer to what I need. That's better. Then right click again. This time, I'm going to either apply the warp or distortion. That's up to you. Let's try warp first. With warp, I'm going to take this down a little bit and kind of like morph and warp it right into place. Good, right about there. All right, that looks good. And hit return. Now it's in place. And what I find is that if I come back over to the opacity and I change that to about 80%, it blends in rather nicely. All right. So I do that with the top one, and then I would do the same thing to the bottom layer. But what I would do is come back over here. Now that I have that set, add another layer, and then I would select another brush, and let's see, here we are, brush, and I would probably grab a bottom one this time. Let's say this one here. That one's good. And bring it into place. Control Z. I didn't like that one too much. I'd rather one with less eyelashes on it. Let's try this. Or I should say thinner eyelashes. Okay, that'll help. Control T to transform it. Bring it out. And put it into place. And we got the idea. So, all right, here we go. Now the bottom eyelashes, that I'd probably come in around 50%. Yeah, 50% looks a lot more natural. And then one last thing I will do is grab another brush, but this time, here we go. I'm going to grab a soft brush. Let's see. Just a regular brush. General brushes. Here we go. Soft round. Okay, that's good. Now I'm going to get rid of my highlighter for you. There. All right. Now watch what I'm going to do. From here, I want to bring in a little eyeliner. Now I'm going to paint it 100% black just for now. Then I'm going to tie it right in. So I brought that in. It's a little too thick, so let me redo it. Really, really thin. Here we go. Okay, that's better. And then that filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Let's bring it quite a bit out. Right about here. That's good. And then let's lower the opacity on that. Good. I can even move it just a little bit into place. There we go. Before and after. So you see how it just fills in that gap there. So that's how we would put the eyelashes on. And I'm not going to do the other eye because you've seen how I did this one. That's the whole trick behind it. I'm going to get rid of these here. And now I'll put the ones I already did earlier on. All right. Now that I have this set, in fact, on this, let me do this real quick because I just realized I didn't put the quote mascara on this. So at 100% opacity, yep, I'm going to come in, put the mascara on. And notice it doesn't have to be perfect, but try to get as close as you can. There we go. Filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Maybe a little more. Right about there. All right. And then drop the opacity. Right about there. All right. Good. Now we have everything set. Here's how we're going to make Luminar a smart filter. I'm going to select all three of the layers. I just pressed the top one and then held down the shift key, selected the bottom one, right click, and convert to a smart object. Now, when I do this, all I'm doing is creating what's called a container. So I'm going to double click on that smart object, and notice it opened up another file called layers5.psb, PSB Photoshop Big. Here's the three same folders, or the same layers we had earlier. So all it's doing is creating a container and is putting that container into a smart object. Why is that important? Because now when we come over here and we apply Luminar, Luminar is going to be applied as a smart filter, and all of those layers that we just applied are going to have the same effect applied to it. If I only did it to the one layer, just the one layer is going to have the effect. Now that I have it set, let's come over to the edit menu. So I looked at this and I started out with the looks. I'm going to take you through exactly what I did. I went through the looks and I figured, okay, well, let's try some of the portraits. And the very first one I did was the female, excuse me, the female portrait. And that was one I liked, and I was going to head down that path. And then I hit the AI facial enhancement, which I really liked. Then I bounced over to the female one. I liked it. But then earlier this afternoon, when I was practicing again, I hit film, and I thought that looked really cool. And then I did street matte, and I thought that looks even better. I'm going to stick with street matte. So I really like how this is looking before and after. It doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot of change, but it's definitely making a bigger difference where it's tying it in. Now I'm going to come over and make my fine-tune adjustments. So, sure enough, it used the matte filter, the mystical tool, which I absolutely love. That's going to give me that dreamy effect. So it gave me the base that I like. And look what I'm doing now. Now I'm going to make the hair look more golden. If I don't like what it's doing to the eyes, I'll come in with a brush, select Erase at 100% opacity, get my brush into size, and now I'm just going to erase the effect out on the face of the eyes. There we go. Ooh, good. All right. The skin, I feel like I'm losing some of the texture. So let's come back up here. Let's come back up here to eye enhance, or to the lights. And we're going to take the highlighter. Look at that. We're going to bring it down some. And now notice it's bringing back some of that texture and contrast to the skin. Well, if that did a great job, let's come over here to the advanced tool, or the Pro Tools, and let's see what the advanced contrast will do. Okay, that's better. Let's check out the shadows. Oh, I like that. All right, good. Midtones really didn't do too much for me. And if it doesn't do too much, just leave it. I do like, because I know I set this up to be like a Rembrandt type photo shoot, because you see the triangle over here. So the mid tones are going to actually help me define that more. All right, there we are. Before and after, good. I'm just going to hide the looks. All right, I love the color enhancer already. The split toning was a nice touch with the gold and the blue. So the gold in the highlights and the blues in the shadows. And again, it doesn't look like it's doing much. It's just that little extra. Let's see. I do want to see what AI Enhancer is going to do. Ooh, look what that's doing. That's definitely going to bring out more of the details, the hidden details in the flowers. Oh, you know what? I like that because it's balancing it. There we go. And of course, details. Good. And we want to look at that detail at 100%. Let's turn it on and off. Good. Before and after. That's it. And it did use dramatic. Let's see if it, yep, it did desaturate it just a bit. Let's see what happens if I bring it up just a little. That's a little too much, so yeah, I'm going to stick with it where it was. And if I need to, I can come back to history and just go back one step. And of course, we did the Pro Tools, and we're good here. All right. Overall, I'm happy with it. Now, I'm going to click on Looks again. I'm going to save this as a new custom look. And let's call this Flower Child. Version 3. Great. So now that I have it set, I can always come back and apply that same identical look to this image and pick up right where I started from. I'm going to click Apply, and now it's going to shoot me back over into Photoshop. Now, while it's doing that, again, keep in mind, it's non-destructive. So Photoshop opened the file for me. There we go, right here. Photoshop opened the file for me, and then once it opened it, I created it into a smart object. Now underneath here is where we have Luminar. Now, if I decide, I really don't like those eyelashes, I could double click. Now I'm back into that container folder. Now if I remove the eyelashes, Control or Command S, I'm going to save this file, the PSB. Now by saving it, watch what's going to happen. Boom, Luminar kicks in right away. So it saved the file. Now it's going to hand it all back to Luminar, and it's going to say, all right, we made a change to this. Analyze it again, check out what the change is. Use the same identical settings that we used earlier, apply it to this image, and then kick it back to Photoshop. There it is, non-destructive. So I'm able to go back at any point if I wanted to. Right now we're saving it. If I double click on it, it'll reopen it for me and let me make my changes. So now that that's set, if I go to the file here, there it is. It's with the Luminar look without the eyelashes. Me personally, I like the eyelashes. I would probably, because I did this really, really fast. Look, you can tell, I did it really quick. I would go back in, and at this point, this is where I'd make the changes to the eyelashes. If I don't want the whimsical ones, I can go in with a different set and apply those. But the cool thing about it is, I don't have to go back and be recreative in Luminar because I already did that step. All I have to do now is fix the eyelashes in Photoshop, save it. Luminar will say, all right, great. Since you like the look we did earlier, let's put it back to this image. It's applied. Let me hand it back off to you and for you to inspect it. If I don't like it, double click on Luminar inside Photoshop right here. I just come back in and I double click right here. And when I do that, Luminar is going to open up and Luminar is going to give me the chance to make any further changes and then save it. Whew. So there we are. So that's how we use Luminar with Photoshop, converting Photoshop into a smart object so we can use Luminar as a smart filter. All right? Hey, if you have any questions, please leave those in the comments below. And then what I'll do is answer the questions to the best we can. And if you have suggestions for future shows, which this one was a suggestion on Wednesday, we have our happy hour afterwards where viewers like yourself can join in and we talk face to face and you give us suggestions on what you want to learn in the next episode. We're up to 210 of these coffee breaks. And we'd love to hear what you'd want us to further work on from this point on. All right? Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you at the next coffee break.